Do we have to state the quote entirely and then break down some aspects of that quote? Or can the quote be embedded within the analysis in smaller parts? That's a good question. That's an advanced question. Aman, it's a little bit of both. It depends on how much you've broken down the quote, if that makes sense. So if you're going to nitpick one word out of the quote a few times, so you're going to like literally quote a single word a few different times in the sentence, I would probably want to see the broader context in which those quotes appeared. So I'd probably want to see the larger quote. But the rule also applies that you only want to use as much of a quote as is necessary. So I like shorter quotes generally. I don't like really long quotes. If any of you guys have quotes that go for longer than a line or a sentence, I mean, that's way too long. So you need to compress it, try and just go straight to the bit that's necessary, but don't shorten it so much that I don't know the broader context of it. Like you still need all the meaningful parts there. So sometimes it's useful to have the full quote, but in that shortened form, and then you can isolate words or terms in your analysis after it. So I typically would do both. To your point, if you're going to embed single words from a quote later, I would also have the larger quote there, but the larger quote shouldn't be that long. So hopefully that makes sense. Aman, is it important for the themes of our body paragraphs to sound sophisticated, or is it fine to have broad terms such as control, rebellion, and submission? Well, this is what I've been talking about, guys. Hopefully, you've gotten this out of it. We don't want to have any part of the essay that just lists themes like control, rebellion, and submission, because to tell you the truth, they're not themes. They're not ideas. They are just words that are meaningless without expansion. So if I see the word control and rebellion, unless you've said something about them, they don't mean anything to me. They're not even a theme. They're not an idea. For you to tell me an idea, you need to actually communicate a full sentence that expands on one of those words. Okay, so no broad terms such as control, rebellion, and submission. You need to say Orwell explores the motivation, the totalitarian motivation for control over the collective through psychological, et cetera, manipulation or something, right? I need to just know the one core idea. It shouldn't be tied to any particular word or theme. There should be no particular word that is your theme. There should be a concept that is expressed as a sentence. And then no matter what key term the question gives you, you should be able to work that in, rephrase it. You're going to be way better at adapting if that's how you think about it. You guys need to stop thinking about themes as one word things. They're not one word. You just have ideas that fit into a framework and you can reword them in accordance with the new key terms of the question and therefore preserve your argument at all times. Do we get marks for how sophisticated the technique? Yeah, we've already answered this. I did answer this at the start, and the answer to that was no. It doesn't matter how sophisticated the techniques are, as long as they are valid, that they actually are there and you've correctly identified it, and that you're not repeating the same techniques throughout the same answer. Are there any particular analytical words which you would recommend to include within an essay? No, not really. I mean, I have go-to words like, explore, represent, reveals, analytical words. I mean, for me, it's all about being specific about what you're talking about. So hopefully, for anyone who's been watching this whole stream, they've picked up on that trend of me saying, look, we don't want to ever just mention single words like rebellion and love and stuff like that. We want to mention a concept that elaborates. So in terms of specific and analytical words, I just want specific analysis. I just want an actual idea. I don't want words. I want ideas. So practice just expanding on one thing at a time and don't list. And if you can really do that, you're going to automatically boost the sophistication of your responses.